Hey, you guys, welcome back. Today we're going to go over multiplying and dividing integers. Before we do that, though, food review number 11. Today we got Trader Joe's chocolate covered gummy bears. These seem so gross, so I've been pretty excited to try them. So let's go ahead and get one out of here. So you can kind of see the gummy bear shape a little bit, and it's obviously chocolate covered. So I'm a big fan of chocolate, and I love gummy bears, so this should be like a perfect match, right? Wow, I kind of love that. Super chewy from the gummy bear, really chocolatey. I think those flavors would go well together. The chocolatey and the fruit don't really mix, but this is unbelievable. I was expecting to hate this. I kind of love this. One more. That has no right to be this good. Wow. I love this. Honestly, 9 out of 10. Wow. Wow. All right, if you go to Trader Joe's, try these out. These are amazing, turns out. Great gummy bear, great chocolate. Wow, they work well together. Perfect combo. 9 out of 10. I love that. Wow. So anyway, let's get back to the math. Today we're going to go over multiplying and dividing integers. So let me make this a little smaller. Get it over here on the side. Get back to here. Let's get the pen going. So whenever we multiply and divide integers, what's great is that there is the same exact rule for multiplying and dividing integers. That rule is, let me write it over here, same signs, we get a positive answer. Same signs, positive answer. Different signs, however, abbreviate different. Different signs gives us a negative answer. So all of these multiplication and division facts are things that you've learned in elementary school. None of those are different. The only difference is that sometimes now they're going to be negative, but we can keep this rule in mind whether we're multiplying or dividing. So let's go and look at a problem. 2 times 9, that is 18. And that's like an elementary school type problem. They're both positive numbers, so our answer is going to be positive, just like it always was in elementary when you learned it. Same signs, we get a positive answer. And always circle my answer. It's a good habit to start if you don't already do it. It's really nice and easy to read when the teacher's grading your work and for you to follow your work too. So the next one, -7 times -3. So are they the same signs or are they different? They are the same signs. Our answer is going to be positive. Even though they're both negative, our answer is going to be positive because we have the same sign. So 7 times 3, that gives us 21. I'm going to have a positive 21 because they have the same signs. The next one, -3 times 6. They have different signs, so my answer is going to be negative. And then I just multiply the numbers like normal. 3 times 6, that's 18. And I just make sure to include my negative because a negative multiplied by a positive is going to be a negative. Now, where kids usually make a mistake is when they try and get the rules for adding integers and multiplying and dividing mixed up. In multiplying and dividing, same signs are going to give us a positive, different signs will give us a negative. It's kind of like a negative and a positive give you a negative. All those words, whether it's adding or subtracting or multiplying, dividing, they all get kind of misconstrued and they all kind of seem like the same rule. So it is really important to keep them straight. All right. So -18 is what we're looking for there. 5 times -1. We know 5 times 1 gives us a 5. And then we have different signs, so my answer is going to be -5. Down here, 9, and then there's no operation listed. It just has a set of parentheses and then a -2 inside. If there's no operation listed, meaning there's no addition sign, subtraction sign, multiplication sign, or division sign, we assume it's multiplication. These parentheses remind us that it is multiplication. So even though there's no multiplication dot in there, I'm going to add one just for this one, just to make sure that we're all on the same page here. This is 9 times -2. So just like before, I'm going to ignore the signs. I'm just going to multiply the numbers like normal. 9 times 2 gives us 18. Then let's check the signs. It's a positive multiplied by a negative. Those are different. So my answer is going to be negative. negative 18. You know, Miss Sharp, she's one of my favorite teachers here. She's awesome. She's the other math teacher here on the 7th grade hallway. She always uses the multiplication division Dorito, is what she calls it. So this only works for multiplication and division, but she'll put that in there. All right. Actually, I think she usually uses the X just because that looks that stands out a little more. So she has, at least in hers, a plus sign, a positive sign, and then 2 negative signs. So whenever she's doing a problem, she teaches kids with this a lot, and it's really helpful, she will go and cover up whatever 2 signs that she has. So for instance, if she's multiplying a negative and a negative, she's going to cover up those 2. I can kind of mark through it. Whatever is left is your answer. Let me draw another one. We got our positive and our 2 negatives. If she's multiplying a positive times a negative, she's going to cover it up. Whatever is left is your answer's sign. So this is a helpful reminder just to keep track of your sign for multiplying and dividing. It works for both multiplying and dividing. Just those 2, not addition and subtraction. Those are a different set of rules. So let's look at the next one. Let me scroll down here though. Let's see, get that going, give that an erase. And we'll scroll down. There we go. So now we've done multiplication. What's great is that division's the exact same rules, no differences. So whenever we're dividing, we are always going to look for, if the signs are the same, we get a positive answer. If the signs are different, we get a negative answer. There we go. We'll abbreviate that. So let's look at this one, 25 divided by 5. And some kids, we realize, we're a little confused by this symbol. This is just a division sign. It's kind of like a fraction bar, but it's just a division sign. So 25 divided by 5. Or otherwise, how many times does 5 go into 25? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. It goes in there 5 times. So we know we're going to have a 5. The signs are the same, so we're going to have a positive answer. Look at the next one. This one, negative 24 divided by negative 4. The signs are, once again, the same, so I'm going to have a positive answer, which seems so crazy because they're both negative. It should be a negative answer, right? But not the case. So same signs, we get a positive answer. 24 divided by 4. I'll ignore the signs and just do the problem like normal. 4 goes into 24. Let's see, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24. It goes in there 6 times. And then my answer is going to be positive because of the same sign. So look at the next one. Negative 30 divided by 10. How many times does 10 go into 30? It goes in there 3 times. I have a negative 30 and a positive 10. Those signs are different, so my answer is going to be negative. And kids always struggle with remembering their division facts from elementary school because they don't use them a whole lot. But the more you know of those, the easier all of this is going to be. It's going to go by so quick. Same for multiplication. If you know your multiplication facts, a lot of this stuff is going to be so easy. You just have to remember that same signs gives you a positive, different signs gives you a negative. Let's look at the next one, 20 divided by negative 2. So how many times does 2 go into 20? It goes in there 10 times. And I have different signs, so my answer is going to be negative. So I'm going to end up with negative 10. Let's look at the next one. Negative 15 divided by negative 5. How many times does 5 go into 15? Let's see, 3 times. And then the signs are the same, so I'm going to have a positive answer. Now, I've heard a few different ways to keep track of whether or not you have a positive answer or a negative. Some kids have trouble just remembering the rule straight as is, because it's a lot of words, and it's a lot of the same kind of wording if it's adding and subtracting too, so it all gets a little hard to keep straight in your mind. One thing I always like, whenever I think of same signs, when I think of the word same, that has an S in it. Same signs will give me a positive answer, and positive also has an S in there. Same thing for different. If I wrote out the word different, again, this might be a bit of a stretch, but it is how I remember it. Different has an N in the word, and negative starts with an N, so my answer is going to be negative. So always think of it in terms of that. So think of it however you would like, but regardless, you got to memorize it and you got to know it. It is important. And the more you do of this, and the more you do of these problems, the easier these rules are going to become, I promise. If you did 100 of them, these rules would be really well and really strong in your mind. You would not forget it. All right. So anyway, thank you guys for sticking around for the whole video, and I will see you guys tomorrow in class. Bye.